Nick Daicos is the new Brownlow medal favourite, so surely coaches will start to tag him. Let's find out. Hello and welcome to Fox Sports Lab AFL. I'm Ben Dixon, your host. With me, one of the all-time greats, Jason Dunstall and stats guru Al Patton. Welcome, boys.
Gentlemen.
Thanks, Dicko.
Well, Chief, it is Dunstall don't argue time, and non-tagging coaches are in your sights. I'll pose the question, Nick Daicos. Why didn't they tag him, and why aren't they tagging all these key playmakers?
Well, they did try on the weekend, but it was very unsuccessful. Let's consider the facts first. Round one, he has 35 touches, probably picks up 2 Brownlow votes. I thought DeGoey might have been the best with his 3 goals. Round 2, he has 32, kicks 2, picks up the 3 votes. So he's probably got 5 votes after 2 rounds. Now, they didn't tag him in round 1. They tried tagging him with Lachie Jones, Port Adelaide. Didn't last that long. Did a rubbish job anyway. So if you're going to tag him properly. Now, it's been really interesting out listening to the narrative around it this week. People saying, put an attacking player on him, trying to keep him accountable. They're very good at covering for each other, the back 6 for Collingwood, and I doubt that you'll actually make him accountable because he just follows the footy. So what's wrong with putting a hard tag? It might be old-fashioned. I get that. I'm old. Sue me. But what about playing 17 on 17 and saying we're not going to get beaten by this bloke and manufacture your zone around that? But I would be very happy to have a bloke that's a gun runner, that's disciplined, that will just do a job on him and play 17 against 17.
Well, it's like Ken Hinkley in his presser after the game. They said, how'd you get beat today? And he looked at the guy, asked the question and said, Nick beat us today because he dominated. Al, the taggers. There's not many in the game now, is there?
Well, I mean, one thing with Nick Daicos, I think that, he's so exciting as a young player, and how he can try and evade that tag is he's got so many strings to his bow. If he's got someone sitting on him, they can throw him into the centre bounce, or he can go back and take some kick-ins, and, he's really hard to play on. But they play the Tigers, obviously, Friday night. Damien Hardwick coaching his 300th game, so hats off Dimmer. But in those 300 games, I don't know if he's tagged once. So it's just not in his MO, so I wouldn't expect it this Friday night. I mean, look at some of the numbers Richmond gave up last year to these sort of halfback types. Sam Doherty got 31 disposals, Cumming 26, Hayden Young 31, Tom Stewart 29, and then last week they let Rory Laird get 39 touches. So I guess Dimmer would say Richmond won a lot of those games, but it's going to be hard if Nick runs amok again on Friday night.
Get the message, Dimmer. Don't get beaten by Nick Daicos.
Well, I'm putting him down for 40 plus then off the back of those numbers. Let's talk about LDU. So you mentioned Nick Daicos could have 5 votes in the
This man has 6 to go.
6?
Yep.
So Gill will be LDU, 3 votes, LDU, 3 votes. This guy, he's not unsung hero in a way, but he's one of the best midfielders in the comp, isn't he, Al?
Well, right now you could argue he just about is the best midfielder in the comp. Some of the bigger names have had maybe a little bit of a slower start to the season. Clayton Oliver would probably argue with that. But LDU currently number 1 in the AFL for contested possessions, number 2 for clearances. He's the number 1 Supercoach player, which we love. But I wonder if Finn McGuinness is one of those taggers, and he might be standing next to him in Launceston this weekend.
Well, let's talk about the Derby over in the West, Fremantle. I've been dumping on them for 2 weeks, so I've actually got it right, Jason. I don't know where you've been with Fremantle.
They've just got clearly a lot of problems all over the field. They're the number 1 team in the AFL for winning the ball, disposal-wise, number 1 for marks, and they're last for scoring efficiency. I think Hawthorn and the Bulldogs are the only teams who have scored fewer points. So there's something not working there that Justin Longmuir has to figure out pretty quick.
But they use the uncontested mark game to no advantage whatsoever, so they just chip it backwards, forwards, around half-back, and it doesn't help them at all. They've turned into the old Fremantle. Slow, boring, no dare, and they can't fix up their forward mix. So unless they can get Matt Taberner back playing some good football, get Fife A, fit, and B, contributing up forward, it's not going to happen.
Have you gone soft in your old age? Like, you don't argue you're hitting taggers, which, you're hitting midfielders and you're blowing up. But the Hawks, the heat on the Hawks right now after round 2 is a bit harsh, don't you think?
I agree. Why have I gone soft?
Well, I thought you might have just gone on and whacked the people that are whacking Hawthorn. They've rebuilt. They've got no players. They've got young kids. They've got 1 senior player in Luke Bruce, and that's it.
I actually haven't taken much notice of it, truth be told.
Okay, that's why
It's going to be a long journey for the Hawks.
What about the tackle before we wrap it up in this segment? I want to just say that 4 for Broad is light. It needed to be 5 or 7. I know it's been done to death, but we spoke about the bump and players getting 2 or 3. That tackle deserves 7, in my opinion.
7?
We've got 2 lawsuits, minimum for CTE in the AFL. The head issue is an issue.
Yep.
You know, as a player, once you pin the arms, you have no chance. And to lift, dump, hit, that was a collision on the ground, not contact.
Yeah, hang on a minute. We've just had all this outcry over the bump, and yet players are still bumping. And they didn't make a statement with the suspensions around bumping. So what we want to do is we encourage them to tackle instead of bump. That's the option. to stop them from bumping so that we avoid that head contact. Now they're at least starting to do the right thing. But one of the problems is that the umpire doesn't blow the whistle early enough. So you're hanging on to a bloke, you hang on to a bloke, you hang on to a bloke. He's going to get the ball out eventually. How long do you sit there and hold on to him? And I think the players panic and go, well, I better throw him to the ground. Now, they're not doing that the right way. I agree we have to stamp out that sling tackle. And I think 4's the right suspension. But for you to start saying 5, 6, 7, the air in between the ears is just starting to get a little bit discombobulated, Dicko. I mean, let's be careful about what we're doing here. We want them to tackle. We don't want them to bump to start with. But then blow the whistle a little bit quicker before they have time to sling them to the ground.
I never thought you'd turn into a letterbox and sit on the fence. What do you think, Al?
I mean, I think 4 is about right, and I think probably Cosy Pickett maybe got a bit lucky for only getting 2.
All right, well, the coaches are on notice. Start tagging or your answer to the chief and take out the bump and the sling tackle.
Footy is life. It's loyalty, rivalry, love and pain. Footy is everything. That's why we've made a betting brand for footy fans. That's better. Chances are you're about to lose.